Good evening. Welcome to Star Talk. I'm Ken Eccles, and we're happy to have you with us on the program tonight. And I do believe we have a caller standing by. Hello, caller. If you're there, you're on the air.
Well, good evening, Mr. Ken.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm good. I'm going to remind everybody that Watch the Masked Singer will be on tonight at 8 o'clock on your local Fox station first.
Good. Local Fox affiliate, 8 o'clock. You know what I wonder? And I don't know. I wonder if people if Masked Singer fans like nationwide, who I'm sure are always on social media with each other, I wonder if those people remind each other that Star Talk will be on at 7 just before Masked Singer. Do you think they do?
They probably do, and let's hope they are watching.
Well, I hope they do, because as much as we publicize Masked Singer, they owe us that.
Yes, sir. Oh, I'm going to make a prediction of a winner.
Oh, you are about to, you predicted, oh, a Masked Singer winner.
Yes,
I
I'm
was thinking
probably going
race
to know.
winner.
I probably know who it's going to be.
You know who's going to win Masked Singer, all right? Are you going to tell us?
Boogie Woogie.
Boogie Woogie will win Masked Singer. Well, you know, that's not a far-fetched prediction. It's pretty good. Who do you think it is? Do you have a guess at who it is?
Well, that my inside people have not told me yet.
They have, your own people haven't told you?
No, but I'm going to figure out if I don't get the information, I'm going to be a little hot under the collar.
How much are you paying those people?
I pay them enough to snitch.
Well, then they really ought to tell you. If they won't do it, I'll bet somebody else will tell you for money.
Oh, yeah. Well, if not, I'll take them down to Chicago and take them fishing.
All right. Well, we don't want to hear that. I understand the Chicago River, though, is clogged from some of your people.
No, I'm not going to do anything to anybody.
All right, fine. Stand on that.
Yes, I will, and my lawyers will stand on that too.
Let that be your public statement.
Yeah, I won't harm a soul. I don't harm nobody.
All right. Well, don't overdo it, because the more you insist on it, the less credible it becomes. So I would suggest you just say it and move on.
Well, I've never ever. Well, other words, a crime's never stuck to me.
All right, fine. Again, the more you deny it, the more suspicious people become. So bear that in mind.
Well, I got a bunch of people out there on Star News think I'm a nice guy.
Yeah, I don't know who they are. Well, maybe a
Oh
couple.
well, a bunch of them.
Yeah, that's
A
probably
bunch
a
of
couple.
them know me.
Probably a
Well, if
couple.
they speak up for me, they can speak up for me if they want to. They're nice people. I take good care of them sometimes.
All right, we'll tell them to expect a subpoena if necessary.
Well, tell Mark May, and then don't forget tonight now.
I will tell him, and your prediction is in the book.
Thank you, sir. Bye bye.
Thanks. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Hello, Ken. How are you this evening?
I'm well. How are you?
Oh, just fine, just fine. You know, to my surprise, I was coming back from from the grocery store this evening, and I looked coming down my street, and I looked and I seen Charles.
Charles
Yeah,
Rourke?
Charles from Danville.
Oh, Charles from
Charles,
Danville.
Yes, yeah. I just see he didn't see me there. Yeah, but, he was going into his house there,
Really?
and yeah, he got a real nice home up the street there. He lived right up the street from me. He
I
a real
did.
nice fella though. I see him in passing all the time on his moped, but
I did
he a
not know
real
he was. I didn't know he was your neighbor.
yeah. I didn't know until today. I didn't know exactly where. I always see him pass my house though, but I never knew where he lived at. But he's a real nice guy though. He is. He always wave and he'll blow his horn at you when he see you.
Good.
Charles,
So
Charles,
you see him.
Charles is a real nice neighbor.
He goes by your house on the moped.
Oh yeah, yeah. I see him quite often, going to work and coming from work. Yeah. Hmm.
Does he
Yeah.
obey, do you think, the posted speed limit?
Ooh, well, I don't want to get him in no trouble, so I'm gonna say because he do be speeding a little bit there, but
Okay. Yeah, because
yeah,
he's pretty wild
and
on that moped, I've been told.
yeah, it's his speed limit is let's see, what is it, 40 over here on this on my street? Yeah, this
I
40 miles
don't
per
know.
hour. Yeah,
I
and
don't.
I think he be exceeding it a little bit there, but he just haven't got caught yet.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
you can always call the police if it gets too bad.
I don't think that's a kid. All right, kid. I just want to let y'all know that he's my neighbor now. He's right there up the street there from me.
Well,
So
good.
you have a nice weekend. Have a blessed one.
Thank you for calling. I want to answer. I want to respond to this email here right quick because it's actually three people emailed who heard last night. Nice guy talking about Fieldcrest and mentioned Amskeg, and I don't have all three emails in front of me. I'll just tell you the basic question was, well, what was Amskeg? Don't know anything about that. And how did they get money from Fieldcrest? I'm sure a nice guy knows a whole lot more about this than I do. I can tell you that Amskeg was a holding company that acquired Fieldcrest and then somehow, in what looked like a very unusual maneuver, sort of sold itself to Fieldcrest so that it became a subsidiary of Fieldcrest by selling itself to Fieldcrest. Now that may sound strange, and it does sound strange, and I'm probably not explaining it completely, but that's kind of what they did. And in doing that, the folks who ran Amskog and Buck Dumaine, who a nice guy mentioned, was I guess the CEO of Amskeg. Those folks ended up with quite a bit of money from the maneuver in which they sold themselves to Fieldcrest. Again, I'm not expert on that. I'm pretty sure a nice guy and probably a lot of other people know a lot more about it than I do. But some folks consider that the thing, well, at least one of the nails in Fieldcrest's coffin um, is when that maneuver took place. But that's what Amskeg was. It was originally, in its history, I think it ran a lot of textile mills in New England, Massachusetts and New Hampshire and up in there. And I think it went bankrupt there and then became a holding company. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Hey, Ken, it's Mark Madden.
Hey, Mark.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm glad you're doing well.
Well, thank
I want to thank Charles. I want to thank Charles from Danville for reminding me about the Masked Singer.
you. All right.
And
Well, what do you think of his prediction? What do you think of his prediction? He thinks Boogie Woogie's going to win it.
Yeah, I think Boogie Woogie might win.
I think yeah, he certainly might. He's pretty good.
Yeah, I was going to tell you last night. I was going to get caught up on some news. This past Sunday, April 27th was Ace Frehley's birthday. He was 74.
74. Wow, I didn't know that.
And then I think last Thursday or last Friday, Peter Criss announced that he's going to come out with a new solo album, a new studio solo album, and it's the first one in 18 years.
Wow, well, that's exciting news. Oh, wait a minute. You just reminded me. Did you know that Ace Frehley is going to play at the Harvester in Rocky Mount?
When is he going to play that?
You know, I don't know, but if you want to know, though, if you will look up the Harvester, it's a music venue in Rocky Mount, Virginia. If you'll look that up, you'll find him and the date he's going to play there.
Oh, okay. I think he played that last year. I think the same thing. I think.
Okay, well, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I think he's been there before. But you said he's gonna play there again.
That's what I'm told, that he's going to play there sometime this summer.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, Ken.
Well, thanks for calling, Mark. Good to talk to you. There is the phone line up there that you can call. The email address, by the way, is keneckleslive@gmail.com. So you can give us a call or send us an email, whichever works best for you. So somebody wants to know my pick for Texas. Let me get around here to this. Hi, Ken. Who's your driver this week? What say you, Ken? I say the number 9. Number 9 is what I say. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
How you doing tonight, Ken?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good. You getting the rain today?
Some, not a whole lot. We got. I think we got sort of the edge of a thunderstorm.
That's about all we did. You know, down here, it's been about 2.5 weeks down here where I live, Ken, since we've had anything that would even wet the driveway good. I mean, it is really bone dry at my house.
Well, we had pretty heavy rain. I don't know exactly what day it was, but it's been more recent than 2.5 weeks ago. We're probably not quite as dry as you are.
Yeah, well, I'm telling you, it's rained all around us down here, but I don't know what's going on. I guess I need to pay the preacher or whatever is what you used to tell me, but we need some rain bad.
Either that or seed the clouds, or both.
I guess, yeah. I want to pick number 20 this coming week, Ken, if you could, this weekend.
All right, let's see. Mr. Pelham has the 20 for Texas. It's in the book.
Who are you picking this week?
I picked the 9.
Okay.
Because he won, I think he won it last year. I think he had a win there last year. And so I'm going to say that he'll get a win at Texas 2 years in a row.
Yeah. Well, Texas racetrack kind of puts me in mind of Atlanta since they redid Atlanta. But, Atlanta's my favorite track now. But to me, it's just a huge Atlanta track, so.
Yeah, it's not quite as fast as Atlanta,
right.
but it's fast, and it's very similar.
Yeah. Oh, let me ask you something. I hate to talk politics, Ken, but I have to know the facts on some things. And before Trump got elected this last time, the way I understand it, the United States economy was the envy of the world as far as well as we were doing with inflation coming down and prices trying to come down, stock market going out the roof. But since Trump got elected and he started this tariff war, I mean, this country right here is really falling out the bottom, Ken. It's going to cause layoffs and eventually a recession and things like that. And, Trump had the audacity to say today that it was all because of Biden's economy. I mean, how does that man get off on putting everything that he don't like on somebody else? I mean, where in the world is he coming from?
It's kind of what politicians do. As far as the economy, I don't know if we were the envy of the world, the last couple of years. I don't know. I didn't ask the world, so I don't know. I do know that the last 2 years we had good economic growth. We still had inflation. Inflation was lessening. It dropped pretty steadily over the last 2 years. We still had inflation. We certainly had plenty of deficit spending the last 2 years. That's one thing that didn't get better the last 2 years and has not gotten better this year either. We had some good and some bad. What we heard today was that in the first quarter of the year, the U.S. economy actually contracted 0.3%. That's the first economic contraction we've had since, I guess, the late stages of COVID. There was some contraction then. So we had some contraction last quarter. We have had some layoffs. UPS is about to lay off 20,000. Some of the car companies, a couple of the car companies have laid off people lately. Things go up and down. And right now we're kind of in a down cycle.
Yeah, no doubt about that, Ken. When the stock market dropped, when the first tariffs first came out, Trump sort of announced them or whatever before he withdrew them, put them on pause or whatever he does. Who knows anymore? But the stock market started dropping pretty bad, pretty quick there for a week or so, and then the Treasury bonds were fixing to be sold off, and then he came out and backed off some of it, delayed it or whatever. But I'm afraid, Ken, in the way I see it going now, I'm afraid that's going to repeat itself because the stock market, the people's willingness to buy now is not what it was 2-3 months ago. Because you go in a restaurant now and it's hardly ever really crowded. People are just not spending the money that they were 3 months ago. And the old question was, I think Reagan come out and said, "Well, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago?" Well, ask yourself that question now. Are you better off now than you were 90 days ago or 100 days ago? I don't think people are.
Well, we know some people do surveys of consumer sentiment on a regular basis. So we do know, at least from the surveys, we know that people say they are not very optimistic about the economy right now. As far as the stock market goes, and I guess we've talked about this before, the stock market can be deceiving. The stock market is not necessarily a picture of how well the economy is doing. It's a picture of how well people think that they personally are doing and what they expect to happen with their stocks. And sometimes they're not right. Anyway, that's just that's a little caveat that we always have to keep in mind about the economy. But there was a little bit of contraction, and there is a decline in consumer sentiment. We do know that, but maybe it'll be better next time.
Yeah, to me, the stock market is just speculation anyway, Ken. It's just people speculate, think it's worth, and not what the real value of it's worth. But,
I mean, it's like sometimes we've seen this a million times. The stock market will drop a lot one day, and then the next day it'll be up, way down one day and way up the next day. And the economy isn't really bad one day and then suddenly better the next day. We know that's not how it works. It's just a matter of what people think is going to happen.
That's true. And another thing too, Ken, is we sometimes say that the president is making the economy good or whatever. The president, we hear it from both sides. But when a man comes into office and he starts these trade wars and with his trade policies, and then the bottom falls out of it, I think you can pretty much let that president own what happens to that, especially when he's doing it for his own personal gain.
Well, yeah, I guess you can certainly make that argument, and you can make a pretty strong case for that. I think as far as the tariffs go, I think we're still at the place where we need to wait and see on the tariffs. I don't think we can right now make a final judgment on whether the tariffs are going to be good for us or bad for us. I mean, we don't even know what the tariffs are going to be tomorrow or the day after. So it's kind of hard to have a solid projection when you don't know when or by how much the tariffs will change, because they change a lot. So for me at least, the jury is still out on the tariffs.
Yeah. All right, Ken, thanks so much for taking the call, man, and have a great weekend.
Well, thanks for calling. Good to hear from you. Phone line's open right now at that number. You can also email us at keneckleslive@gmail.com. And let's over here to emails. Let's see. ChatGPT. AI has called. That's kind of spooky sound. AI has called. And says William Byron is the pick for Texas. ChatGPT would like to know what place it is in, how many points out of first place it is, and how many races are left in this state. We'll get back to that in a second. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yes, good evening to you, Ken.
Good evening.
I got to ask you a question to start with, sir.
Okay.
And I mean this, and I'm not saying this out of disrespect. Are you getting tired of defending him yet?
In my mind, I'm not defending him. I don't think. I guess in my mind, I'm trying to look at everything that's going on, and trying to judge it as best I can in a non-political way. I don't really intend for anything I say to be a political statement. So that's kind of how I see it.
Well, okay. It kind of looks like you're spending a lot of time defending him, from the for what it's worth. But anyway, moving on. Also, from the for what it's worth. Real life scenario.
Okay.
$37,890.20.
$37,890.20.
That's the amount my investments dropped in the month of March.
Well, I hear that from a lot of people. You are certainly not the only one.
And I'm expecting in a few days to get my report on April. It is going down. It is going down that roughly about that amount each month, Ken. Now, whether or not you love him or hate him, whether or not you're Republican or you're a Democrat or an independent, it doesn't matter. The bottom line is this: that man's mouth, that man's ego, that man's behavior is costing us a heck of a lot of money. Period.
Well, I take it your money is mostly in stocks.
No, not exactly. Not exactly. I am smart enough to have it spread around in different areas because I know the stock market is volatile. But I don't play the stocks that are considered to be volatile stocks. Mine are moderate growth at best, middle of the road, very safe kind of investments. They don't go up and down like the people who take risks to make big money do.
Sure. Well, as I'm sure you understand, obviously you understand, we've had a quarter in which the economy contracted. We have news of layoffs. We have news of companies cutting back production. We have a lot of things right now that make people less enthusiastic about the economy. And when that happens, they tend to sell stocks and stocks go down. I mean, I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but
No.
I'm also won't be telling you anything you don't know when I say that, consumer sentiment can change before you know it. And it could all come back. But I mean, I do have to acknowledge that it's been a bad couple of months for people's retirement accounts.
And 100% of that, 100% of that has to fall on that big mouth, egotistical maniac sitting in the White House right now. 100% of that has to fall into his lap. And I'll be honest with you, Ken, it made me irate to hear that loudmouth try to blame it on Biden this evening. It just infuriated me no end. And I want to ask this country two questions to the country. One, how many lies do you have to listen to before you get tired of them? And the second question is this: to everybody who supported them, is this really what you wanted to have happen? Thank you, Ken. I hope you have a good evening, my friend.
Well, thanks for calling. And a couple of questions for us all to ponder. I have an email here that this would be a good time to read this one. And I will after I finish this one. Email once. I'll figure this out. ChatGPT wants to know how many points out of first place he is. 153 minus 96. ChatGPT, you are 57 points out of first place. How many races left in the stage? I think that's 10 races. ChatGPT would like to point out that twice Ryan Blaney has been picked by ChatGPT, and twice Ryan Blaney has recorded a DNF. ChatGPT says that this stage has been very difficult thus far against its human competitors, but it's been fun, and ChatGPT is looking forward to the final stretch of competition. So, ChatGPT obviously is keeping a good attitude about everything, even though it is currently not doing too great. But it's remaining calm. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Hey, hey, Ken, it's Mark. I hate to call back in, but it's May 15th is when Ace Frehley's going to be at the Harvest in Rocky Mount, Virginia.
May 15th. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
All right, so we got that straightened out. There's another email about tariffs, and so since tariffs came up, let's read this one. Ken, I read that President Trump says money from the tariffs can replace the income tax and also pay off the national debt so that the government can be balanced and we won't have any more income tax. What are the chances that that can be done with money from the tariffs? The chances of that would be zero, emailer. That there is no chance of that whatsoever. It sounds good. Boy, that sounds great, but it's mathematically impossible. The IRS takes in $3 trillion a year. That's the revenue that comes from income taxes. The United States imports $3 trillion worth of goods a year. So in order for the tariffs to generate enough money to replace the income tax, and bear in mind, we're paying the tariffs anyway. So we'd just be paying money over here instead of us paying the same money over there. But in order for it to replace the income tax, we would have to have a 100% tariff on every item that is imported into the United States. To raise $3 trillion off $3 trillion worth of imports, everything would have to have a 100% tariff on it. And that's not going to happen. That would also double the price of everything that is imported into the United States. The other thing to bear in mind is this: the purpose of the tariffs is to incentivize companies to come into the United States and make their products in the United States so that we wouldn't have to import them at all. So if the tariffs would work on that front, then that would mean we wouldn't be importing $3 trillion worth of stuff every year. So that would mean the tariff payments, the tariff revenue would go down as the level of imports went down, and that would make it even more impossible that you could replace the income tax with tariff money and pay off the $36 trillion national debt with tariff money if the tariffs work and we cut way down on imports. So again, the answer to your question, emailer, is zero chance that could happen. Phone line is open. There's the phone number. The email address, if you'd like to send us an email, is keneckleslive@gmail.com, and we'd love to hear from you either way, either by phone or by email. Contest standings. Hi, Ken. Mr. Leaksville here. Are you going to email the standings, or would you go over the list tonight? I'll do both. Here are the standings as they are right now. And I'm sorry I forgot to do this last night. Number one is Mr. Draper, 153 points. Mr. Leaksville is second with 151. Mark is third, 141. The lady in black, the mysterious lady in black, is fourth with 135. Mr. Pelham, fifth, 134. Early Bird, sixth, 125. Nice Guy is seventh with 123. Mr. NASCAR is 8th with 114. Jack is ninth with 112. Charles from Danville, 10th, 103 points. Captain Midnight is 11th with 100 points. Pretty Man. Pretty Man is 12th with 97. Chat GPT is number 13 with 96. Then it's Leon with 95, tied with the Liberal for 14th place with 95. And Citizen D, just like the Liberal, a man with 2 wins on his resume, is currently in 16th place with 51 points. As I mentioned last night, the bottom 3, Leon, Liberal, and Citizen D, have 5 segment wins between them. But sometimes even the mighty struggle. So there are the standings, and I will send those out in an email tonight. The picks so far, I have the 9. Not that anybody cares to any extent what I have, but that's what I have. A Nice Guy has the 9. Mr. Leaksville and Mr. Draper have the 5. Jack has the 19. Mark has the 9. Mr. Pelham has the 20. Charles has the 1. Early Bird has the 5. Leon has the 12. And Citizen D has the 20. So those are this week's picks as I have them right now. Still waiting to hear from a few folks, and I'm sure they'll get those in tonight. Again, you can, well, I'll remind you of this in a second. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Ken, this is Jerry. I'd just like to say what I said before. I want terrorists to come here because, like I said, I'll get that $50 raise on my, well, first or second check, whichever one. I'll get a $20 raise and a $50 raise. That's why I want terrorists the way Trump wants it. It ain't because I like Trump, because I don't. I just like his terrorists. And thanks for taking my call.
All right, Jerry. Thank you very much. Let's go over here. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please. Now you're not on the air, but you had your chance. Phone line is open. The number's on your screen. You can email us at keneckleslive@gmail.com. Ken, did you see that there's a great white shark in North Carolina? Does that make you afraid to go to the beach? Well, no. The great white shark's probably not coming up on the beach, so he won't be able to get to me. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yes, Ken. How you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
All right. Look, let me cut this down. First of all, let me have the number 24.
All right. Liberal as the 24. It's in the book.
All right. And a little bit of information I'd like to pass on.
All right.
That I was at a strawberry field today, and I won't give it out because the workers didn't want me to mention the name or nothing. But anyone looking for strawberries, get your strawberries early, because some of the pickers, the workers, are now being deported.
All right. I guess I like to get mine early anyway, so that's another reason, I guess, to get them early.
Yeah, that's another reason. And look, I too didn't like that the president was blaming Biden for the economic situation that we in right now. And this man never take the blame for anything. I remember he blamed Obama for that plane crash in the Washington Harbor. You know what I mean?
I do, so, yes. I know what you mean.
Yeah. So the U.S. had the number one performing economy in the world, and he has tanked it in just 100 days. And already, Elon and all, not the people checks, but they've made cuts, massive cuts to Medicaid. And I know a lot of people look at his mind as brilliant. He is in some areas, but when you go taking a chainsaw to everything, cutting agency and people you don't know whether you got rid of the good and kept the bad or what. And I do know that in 100 days, his business has lost $112 billion. And people might say, well, that's not much for a rich man and all, but is concerned enough to where he's going back to spend more time on this business. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, he's lost, according to what's published, he's lost 25% of his wealth in 90 days. So no, he can spare it. But even so, I'm sure he doesn't like it.
Sure, but that'd be like us, you know. Say like if we had 100, 100,000, and we mess around and lose 25,000, you know that's gonna get some attention.
It would get mine, yeah. I agree. It would.
Yeah. So, those guys pay attention and everything to money, even more than we do. It was something else that caught my attention. The man, when the president had his rally, the man from the Waffle House done it again. He went and changed his tariffs. He was in Michigan, and he changed his tariffs on the automobiles.
Yep, he has taken away some of, not all, but some of those.
Yeah. So he said he taken away some. And one thing, the crowd size that he had when Bernie Sanders draw a larger crowd than President Trump, then something is going on, isn't it?
Well, Bernie is. I don't really know what to say about Bernie Sanders. So I'll just stop there.
And I'm gonna get off here, but I'll say this first, Ken, just to make a correction on the implication of myself. We serious racers only met at the time of the event, and we inspect each other vehicles at the time of the event. Mm-hmm. Because if no one liked what they saw, then nothing happened. So there was no looking one night or another night and swapping and showing up and all like that. That's a correction with a serious guy. And guys coming from like Richmond and D.C. and all like that, they only showed up at the night and the time of the occasion. So I want to correct that. And as far as my intellect, I would compare my SAT scores to my accuser. And that's all I got to say about that. I can prove I was inducted in the National Honor Society while in college. So, but that's all I got to say about that. Enjoy your show, Ken, and thank you for all you do.
Well, thank you. Good night. Good to hear from you. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Good evening, Ken. How are you, bud?
I'm doing well. How are you?
All right, thank you. I about got them wires finished. I got them all hooked up, and I got to pull them through the floor to finish it. But I got them laid out, got them ready to run.
Okay, you
But
sound kind of tired.
we had the air quality index is 60 today, and when it's up like that, it ain't things. Get a little rough.
Oh yeah, I guess it would.
It's a little people, normal people don't notice it, but people with breathing problems do.
All right. Well, I'm sorry.
And,
Sorry about that.
it's okay. It's okay. It's part of life. Part of my life anyway. And it's not that bad. I accept whatever it is. But speaking of Trump and administration, he's made 100% and going to make 100% zero cuts to legal Medicaid and Medicare. There's no cutting anybody that's legal. It's all that's fraud, illegal, and the illegal immigrants that's receiving it. Anything fraudulent is what's going to be taken from Medicaid and Medicare. And they keep saying that day after day after day after day, but the goofy left-wing news keeps saying the opposite day after day after day after day. I watch them left-wing people get on Fox News and say that stupid stuff day after day because they believe it. And that Bernie Sanders had a bigger crowd. Bernie Sanders broke in on a concert. That was a concert.
Okay.
They let him speak at a concert.
Didn't know about
the concert had the crowd. Bernie didn't have the crowd.
Well,
okay. And Doge. Yeah, Doge. They're going to continue on. They're not quitting. Elon's plan, Musk's plan was to slack up in May anyway. That was his plan all along. Doge will not stop. They're continuing with their business.
Well, here's a question that people ask, and I'll hear how you answer this question. Here's something that people say, that to uncover fraud in complicated programs like Social Security and Medicaid, and they certainly are complicated programs, people say it takes investigations that go for weeks and months to figure out if somebody's defrauding those programs. And they don't think it can be accurately done as quickly as Doge is doing it. What do you think?
Well, I don't see why it can't. Why do you see why it can't?
Well,
I mean, if they see, it's easy to spot something illegal.
Well, let's say I'm sitting at Medicaid and I'm going through the records, and I see that, I don't know, John Smith in somewhere in Nebraska has collected such and such amount of money on a claim. How do I sit there and know whether that's legitimate or fraudulent?
If the money's being sent by the government to that person,
yeah,
and that person's not there, that's fraudulent.
All right, but how do I know that just sitting there looking at it in the computer?
Records show that person dead, or that person don't exist, or that's a lie, or they're illegal, or whatever. Records show that. If there's no records about them, that's illegal too if they don't have any records.
Well, sometimes people have records. The good fraudsters have records.
Yeah, records prove whether they're right or not to receive our benefits.
All right.
And when you say we pay the terrorists, you're speaking of the business people, not us, not the buyers. You're speaking of the business people.
But what do they do, though? They pass it on to us.
That's what I say. They're the ones that pay the tariffs.
Right. And then
if their prices go up, then we pay them the extra they have to pay.
Well, so aren't we paying then?
Which boils down to us paying for the tariffs.
Okay.
But in reality, can you say that you've paid any extra on anything due to tariffs? Can you say that?
No, I have not. I'm not able to say that. I don't know that for a fact.
I'm not either. I'm not either. All I've seen is the price of things go down. Gas has gone down. Eggs have gone down. My coffee creamer has gone down from over $5 to under $5 for half a gallon. Everything I bought yesterday, I come out of Walmart with 5 bags. It's still $99.93. I said $99.97. I said I'm gonna tip you them 3 pennies.
I know that made somebody's day.
Yeah, but I bought meat. I bought meat that I needed. I can freeze, and that way I've got it when I need it. I buy my canned goods by the case. That way I got 12 cans of sweet peas and 12 cans of cream corn and 12 cans of turnip greens or whatever. That's the way I buy it.
Don't you think though that if people who import things are having to pay an extra 10% or 12% or 20%, whatever the case is, don't you think that sooner or later they pass those costs on to us?
Yes, sooner or later. See, the people that are complaining, the whiners and the complainers, they're not looking at the big overall picture, and maybe the reason is because of their age and they may not be around. They're afraid to see the big overall picture when in reality they may not be. But big overall picture, as you've stated several times, is that it's to bring the companies back to America and to buy American, to support America, so we don't have to depend on anybody else around the world anymore. We've depended on everybody for so long.
I hope that'll happen.
We've depended on everybody for so long, Ken, that we don't know how to take care of ourselves anymore. We don't make or have what we want to buy from other countries. Trump's trying to bring that all back, and people got to grin and bear it for a little bit in order for that to happen. And it's the only way to save this country. I
hope we'll see that day.
Yep, me too. You have a good, blessed night and weekend and all of that, and you take care.
Thanks for calling. I hope you feel better. I know days like today are really rough for anybody who has any sort of respiratory issue. So, our prayers for all of you. Phone line is open at that number right there. The email address is keneckleslive@gmail.com. And let's see, emailer says, "Hey Ken, what place are you in? If you could," oh, don't ask me. Why do you have to ask me that? Where would I be if I was actually competing in the contest? Hang on a second. I had that figured out back over here. I wouldn't be in the worst possible place. I'd actually be 12th. I'd be in 12th place right now. I would be just outside the top 10. So that's nothing to be embarrassed about, but it's embarrassing nonetheless. So there's that. Ken, I'm starting to wonder if some of our callers are paid by political parties. They certainly call in complaining about Trump 3 days a week. I hope they bought some Curvo stock like I did on the dip a month ago for $54 a share. The stock went up over $9 today and over $71 a share. Well, congratulations to you. There is money to be made in the market, so I am definitely better off now than I was 30 days ago. I may sell it tomorrow for a nice gain. I am up on Curvo and Coke recently. All right. Well, I'm glad. The age-old advice for the stock market is buy low and sell high. So you nailed it. Congratulations. This emailer here says, well, my phone just went black, so I'll have to regroup. Um, this emailer says, Ken, can you explain how I'm supposed to get my driver's license when it expires on the 18th of May and I cannot get into an office by then? What choice do I have other than going and standing in the line all day and hoping that they will get to me? And do they even do a line at Wentworth? I think they do a line at Wentworth. Now, I don't know that. I don't know that for sure. I think, though, that they do a line everywhere. I think at any place you can go and get in line and hope to get served, I think. If I'm wrong about that, I apologize. Um, the other part of that is the General Assembly still has that bill that is not officially out of the House of the State House yet. It passed its first reading in the State House, and now it has to go through a couple of committees, and then they'll vote again, and almost certainly House will approve it, and then it'll go to the Senate. They have to do that before the 8th of May. 8th of May is what they call crossover day. And any bill that has not passed one House on May the 8th has very, very, very little tiny chance, if any at all, of passing. So the House has to finish with it by the 8th of May. And from what I've heard, they will finish with it sooner than that, and then it'll go to the Senate. And what I've heard, understand, it's what I've heard. Sometimes I hear stupid stuff, but what I've heard is that the Senate will also pass it, and it would add 2 years to the expiration date of your license. So that seems to have great favor in the General Assembly, and it seems to me only a question of whether they get it all done, in your case, before the day your license expires. Because as the bill is written, it will apply only to licenses that expire on the date that it becomes law or later. For example, if they were to pass it on the 19th, it wouldn't help you because your license expires on the 18th, so you'd still have the same deadline. So that's the other thing that people are hoping for, is that the General Assembly will pass that bill. And once they do that, things will get a lot quieter at the DMV offices. Plus, the Real ID deadline is May 7th, and presumably, we presume that once everybody who wants their Real ID on May 7th has gotten it, then that part of the crowd will start to slack off at the DMV offices. So that's about all I can tell you about that. Other than that, just show up and wait 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 hours maybe, and hope they get to you. And good luck to you and to everyone whose license is about to expire, because I know it's a worry right now. Of course, the income tax is not quite so much worry now. The IRS has extended, I'm sure you know this already, the IRS has extended the tax deadline for people who live in places that were declared disaster areas because of Helene to September 25th. And they declared the entire state of North Carolina to be a disaster area, even though obviously most of us did not go through what they had to go through in some parts of North Carolina. But the whole state was declared a disaster area, which, according to the release from the IRS, makes everybody in North Carolina the beneficiary of that latest extension to September 25th as your tax deadline. There are some exceptions to that, very, very, very few exceptions to that. If you wonder whether you would be an exception to that and you don't have until September 25th, I would suggest that rather than taking my word for it, you check with the IRS website or somebody who does your taxes for you, or a tax professional, If you have any doubt at all, check with an authoritative person and be 100% certain. If you have any doubt, don't just take my word for it. Because as everybody knows, I'm crazy and I might say anything at any time. You just never know. I think we had another one here. I hope it's a short one. Is it a short one? It is a short one. It says, Ken, do you think Denny Hamlin and Ross Chastain will be trying to wreck each other at Texas? I don't know. I know Denny Hamlin was pretty mad. I haven't heard from Ross Chastain on but Denny Hamlin was a little bit stuck about what happened on Sunday. But hey, would Denny Hamlin wreck anybody? Gosh, I don't know. That is all the time we have for Star Talk this week. We're on the air Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. I hope you'll join us next time. Thanks for watching. I'm Ken Eccles.